started the company.
Ford won Daytona.
Wait, didn't we say we were going to start with like Opa?
Which team was it, Leo? Young American, Miles driving.
All right.
Hey,
so,
Kristen, should I put my Trump shirt on so you get more emails and text messages?
dude, that was another one.
That guy's still carrying on 3 years later.
Oh, I don't even know what to say to those things anymore when I get those.
I'll answer them.
Shaw, I'm trying to find you. I was gonna like make sure there you are. Okay, got you. Okay.
You're expecting 20 or 30 people. I think we got a few more than that, Kristen.
Well, people have come to expect that I will have a replay available, and I totally get that. It's late.
Give or take.
So
I have a shirt. I'm gonna stand up. I got a Speedo on.
But no, don't stand up at all. Like ever. So my new cup, right? You can't fix stupid, but you can't give it a court date. It's my new one for when I meet with the insurance companies. I'm just always like, say that again. Awesome. All right. Let's get started. I'll get started on time at 7:02. I'm a little bit behind. Everybody, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. And we got the gang all here. So they're on with us is basically kind of the Collision Hub crew. No one can be a master of all, and so you collect really good friends around you that have specialty knowledges in certain areas, and together. And so with Rachel and Daniel and Mark and Billy and Derek and Yanni and Shaw's on here and all of us, like kind of that collective, we get together all the time and we do this and we just kind of mostly drink and smoke and complain. That's what we're good at. And I think that's kind of like the body shop. That's what we're really good at body shops is complaining. I always tell people my mom went into labor in the vape booth, and so this is all I've ever known. I don't know anything else. This industry is it. It's all I got. So I've been complaining since before birth. But recently I had, there's been I think the last 30 or 60 days, there's been some very interesting criticisms that have taken place. And so, some people basically, told, for me and Larry really, that we only complain because we think we can do things better. And, why we don't go to some shows or whatever. And so I was like, I guess maybe they're right. If I think I can do something better, then I should put up or shut up, right? So we're calling it kind of the Collision Collective, and the goal is we're just going to get together on kind of an open show, and I'll put it up on YouTube because I remember what it was like to be an adjuster before I got the management role and was allowed to go to events. You have no idea what's going on in the world because you're not at these little small private events or things that get held, and you're trying to get information and you're trying to do your job, but it's really, really hard to find. And so we're gonna put it all up on YouTube. Anybody is allowed to speak, and if you've got something you want to say and you want to do a presentation, you don't have to join a committee and wait for somebody to bless you. You just can join. Our only requirement is if you are going to speak or you do have something to say is that you do have to have a webcam. You're even welcome to just take the floor and the mic and tell me how much you hate me or whatever. But I would just like to look you in the eye, right? Get the respect of that. So if you got a webcam, feel free, and we'll let everybody kind of take their time. We do have kind of a run of show today, some things that we're going to go to get through and kick it off. And then when it's over, we really just want your feedback. If you don't have a camera or you don't want to chime in and speak, you can type in the comments. I'll be in there watching them periodically. So that's the rules of the show. You don't have to necessarily have something nice to say. It's the collision industry. If you're too sensitive to hear something bad, this probably isn't going to be a good year for you after all. And then we just want to see the webcam. We do have to not try to get me driven into the FCC office for a conversation, although the rules around public streaming are a little different than television. I have already received one cease and it's not really a cease and desist because I haven't done it yet, but I did get one warning letter from an insurer already this week, and I still intend to talk about them, so it's fine.
Let's do it.
But we do want to follow the rules of some of the antitrust and something. You guys are body shops. Insurers can talk about anything they want. Body shops can't. All right, that's really basically the rules of the show: webcam or text. Those are the things. It is after hours. We do want everybody to have fun. I know I got one email sent to me that encouraging drinking on a show was not professional. And I was like, you've never been to like SEMA or NACE or any of those things because we drink all the time, right? Like open bars and drink tickets. That's what it's all about. So since it's after hours, if you do like to drink, we would welcome you and you can share what you're drinking. I shared earlier, I will be enjoying the Jack Daniel's Sinatra this evening. Some of you have wine, some of you can just have a Coca-Cola, that's fine. However, we do have a drinking game, so no matter what you are drinking, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, whatever, anytime you hear the word European, which is Larry's favorite word, it is a swallow and a holler at that point, right? So we're all gonna take a drink on the word European. Larry just can't not have a meeting with somebody and not say European like 3 or 4 or 5 times. So that's our drinking word for the night. Hey, so let's kick it off with something fun before we get into the gloom and doom of what's going on in the industry. And basically, Derek and Billy have something really super cool. And I wanted them to have a chance to just tell everybody about it. So Derek, I think probably you should talk about it first. Bill's more of the smile and nod kind of guy.
I'll just
All
jump
right,
in,
well,
dude. Totally unprepared.
awesome. Well, it's you know, we've been working with closely with Billy and his team over at Evolve Tech and Collision Hub and everybody that participates in there to bring you virtual estimating. The ability to have repair plans done on every vehicle out there, whether it's a, you know, regular vehicle, you know, that we see every single day, restricted parts program vehicle. We do non-database exotics, medium duty and heavy duty. And through our platform that connects Billy's team of certified appraisers to basically each and every shop out there that uses it, you can upload a bit of vehicle information with some photos, just a couple clicks of a button. And we have appraisers that will claim those jobs, get those jobs done, and you'll be able to see those in your dashboard. And basically, once the estimate is written, you'll be able to download it directly back in your system as though it was written directly in your system.
Yeah, so we're really excited about this. This is everywhere I travel and everywhere I go, one of the #1 requests that I hear from shops right now, and even from the insurers, is, hey, we need to hire estimators. And they're rare birds. There's a lot of people that call themselves an estimator, but yeah, they just don't write a good sheet. And then I sit down and I meet with shop owners and they're paying 3 to 5% of gross, plus benefits, plus whatever, and that seems to be on the rise. And they're to have a service to be able to just take that off your plate, where someone else in a remote environment can write an estimate for really less than what you pay a lot of the estimators, allows those estimators to concentrate on customer relations, negotiations. You know, Larry and I are doing a lot of estimate audits lately, and shops are paying a lot of money for us to tell them what they did wrong. And every time I sit down with one of the estimators, none of them look at me and go, oh, I didn't know that. Most of them look at me and go, yeah, I knew that. I don't know why I left it off. Well, I do. It's because being an estimator at a collision center is like, you know, dousing yourself in gasoline and setting fire every morning at 7:30 a.m. That's really what that job is. And you never have enough time. And so if I don't have time to concentrate on an estimate, I'm gonna miss stuff, or I sit down to write it and the phone rings or whatever. So Billy's team and Derek and them being able to just calm and they're just focusing on your estimates are huge. So we've seen severity increase around $3,000 to $5,000, and so that's missed money, missed opportunity. So I'm excited. You know, if you got a guy on vacation, this works. If you have somebody quit, this works. If you're a small shop and you don't want to hire, this works. Good work, guys.
I mean, every single day on social media, we see people asking if there's anybody out there that writes estimates remotely or anything like that. So this is just a way, I believe, to make sure that you're getting accurate and professional estimates written rather than just having somebody you don't know writing estimates for you.
And I like the way that you guys, where I don't have to give you my I don't have to give you my login. I've seen services or people that are out there online going, oh, hey, give me your CCC login and I'll do the estimate. I don't want to give you my login.
No.
Like, I don't know. So good news. When are we going to be able to start taking assignments?
Well, right now we have it on our website, and so you can go there and you can, you know, basically sign up to be a pilot shop, which is still like using the program, but we're still taking feedback from shops that are going to be using it. We plan on getting shops started as early as Monday morning.
Nice.
We encourage, we encourage shops to reach out to us before then, if you're interested, because I do believe we're only going to take a certain amount of shops in the very first couple of weeks or few weeks. So if you want to be a part of that, I would encourage you to go to the website and, get scheduled for a demo or just get started. There's a couple buttons on there that you'll see by going straight to SmartRight. That's what it's called. I guess we should have said that. But we'll get shops started as early as Monday morning, and we'll start letting those flow, get some feedback on that. And hopefully within the first few weeks, we're going to open it up to absolutely everybody.
Yeah, and I know.
Yeah.
there's shops on here. Go ahead, Billy. I'm sorry.
No, I did want to say it's I think there's not enough credit to Derek and his team as well, because little that does anyone know is that Derek and I have been working on this almost a year already behind the scenes,
At least.
a little bit over, trying to the finest of details, trying to figure out how the triage works, who are they going to be assigned to, what kind of appraiser, getting the kinks out. So I'm super excited. We've gotten all that done. We've tried Derek calling me on West Coast time, 1 a.m, 5 o'clock my time, saying, check this out,
My
dude,
apologies.
send one back. No, it's great. I mean, and it's a good thing that I work about 23 hours a day, so it works out.
Yes.
But thank you. And I think you guys will be excited about it. My
Billy,
team has been working.
I got a quick question. Do you guys do European cars?
Go!
Oh!
Yes,
Way to go, Mark.
I
That's one of the great things about this.
was a little thirsty, sorry.
You can order, you can have, if I have a car that gets towed in, I may not be certified for that car, but if we think it's gonna total, why would I ship it somewhere else? But I can outsource the estimate to that car to somebody that's specialized and trained for Porsche or Tesla or, Bentley, Maseratis, Lamborghinis, Ferraris. They basically, everything's covered, even right down to farm equipment. So it's gonna let some shops keep alive. We have some shops on here, and I know they're here and they probably don't want to speak, but we've had a lot of small shops lately, a lot of the one-man operations where the body shop owner is also the painter and the janitor and whatever. Instead of trying to go find somebody to hire to add to their business, we've just taken this off their plate, and basically Billy's got a remote estimator, and now all that shop owner has to do is settle the claim, and that's the hardest part, right? I get it, but they don't have to sit down and write estimates, because what we found were those owners were there till 9 and 10 o'clock at night, working every weekend, trying to, when the phones and the doors are closed is when I can do my work. Average cost, so if it's just a general car, a Toyota, Honda or whatever, the full estimates, all of that's like $250. If it's a specialty car, something that's not in the database, let's say we're riding a Ferrari, a Lamborghini, some of those things where we have to hand call on every parts. What's that, Billy or Derek? Is that what we come up with? That's like a great.
We have 3 different stages. So the first one was the 250. That's basically your basic repair plan, following OEM repair procedures, estimating logic, database guidelines, those kind of things. And then the middle ground, which I believe we have right at 650. It's either 6 or 650 right there. I know it's online. I'll have to go back and double check that, but that's for your restricted parts programs, your certified vehicles, those types of things. And then we have the non-database, medium, heavy duty equipment, exotics, those types of things. And then I believe some reports that go with that, right, Kristen, that might help you in RTAs or those types of things that you can speak to. And that's at the $1,200 mark. So a little bit more expensive, but again.
Yeah, I've seen what we've come, we've had certified train shops hire out an estimate for review. And by the time we review it, we write a $14,000 supplement on what was a train shop. And so I always tell that shop, that was $14,000 that would have just flown out of the window that you didn't even know you were missing. And so paying $650 or something for somebody to write that car to make $14,000 is the best, we take those biggest odds to do. So a lot of opportunity there, but I think the small shop really benefits. The shop that gets a car in that you're not familiar with really benefits a whole lot, and it's going to free up estimators to be able to do a lot more. Body shops, it's just we've basically been operating for the last 80 years under the same job descriptions, but that's not a business plan that goes forward. So we'll have different people in the office and different skills, and we're all going to have to figure out how to kind of rework our I don't know, I don't say our workflow, but our job titles so that we can, or that we're not blockbuster going forward. And there's not a whole lot I can outsource. I still need people to turn wrenches and pull triggers and things and all that for down. I don't need robots, but it may be later. And so estimating is the one thing that we can kind of, okay, how do I find more time in the day? Let's consider outsourcing that. But I didn't want the crappy $99, you know, I've been writing estimates for 4 weeks, kind of, I mean, I didn't want I hate to say
Anybody can write those estimates, right? I
Yep.
mean, that's the
Yep.
thing. Any one of our estimators can write those estimates. There's no problem there. I mean, whether or not it's lack of knowledge on that particular vehicle, lack of, OEM research or whatever you're talking about, some of us just don't have the skill set to write some of those higher end vehicles and those types of things where you might want to outsource that. It's a lot easier to outsource it than it is to hire and continue to afford that person on the one-offs or whatnot, you know?
I'm a great example of that, Derek. I mean, I've been writing estimates for, literally probably since I was 10, right? And the old, the crash books. I still can't find my way through Mercedes repair procedures. I still can't do it. So I just call Larry and go, tell me where it's at. But he's great with those.
Yeah.
And those are my weaknesses. So why would I beat my head against the wall for a couple of days trying to write an estimate on that when he can do it for me in probably an hour and make fun of me the whole time he's doing it, but that's okay. Cause
Well, and that's one thing.
Here's the problem with Larry. When you call him and ask him about a Benz question, I remember sitting next to him one day. I said, okay, where do I find this? And he goes, it took him a half an hour to walk me through all the different steps, and it pissed me off. He called me an idiot twice or three times. But the cool part was I learned how to find it myself next time. So he taught me, but I had to.
You want me to
do
fish
some
for
punishment.
you, or you want to learn how to fish?
You taught me how to fish.
Fish for me.
Because
That's why I go out to eat, asshole. I don't go to the restaurant and catch my own damn fish.
$1,000.
You don't fish. You like to go to the restaurant too. No, I want somebody to do it for me. 100%.
Hey, so does Smart Ride
Mark.
include the procedures and position statements as well?
So yes and no. So the thing about it is if you don't have a license for that data, whether it's in an all data or an OE environment, we can't give you to that without violating copyright laws. We can tell you that we did look at it. We can tell you what those procedure numbers are, but we can't give that to you. So it works out really well if you have like I'm not on Mercedes, but let's say you had all data. That's pretty seamless. But no, we can't give away the data. I mean, I wish we could figure that out, but the price would be incredible with the OEs would charge for licensing.
And did you say you can
Wait,
sign up for
I have a
that?
question. I heard the Europeans love repair procedures.
Oh!
Oh, yeah.
We just had a question regarding whether or not you could sign up for it. Yes, you can go directly to
Yeah.
our website right now and you can sign up for a get started and or you can sign up for a demo and we can get in touch with you over the next couple of days and get you going. And that way you're ready for Monday morning if that's something you want to be a part of.
Yeah, so so the schedule demo button is taking me to the mycrash.net and I need a serial number. And the schedule demo didn't have it, so I just signed up for other.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, just sign up for other. That'll be fine. And for those
Yeah,
that
I
are
got you,
listening,
Josh.
that's what.
It's the other
came through
brother,
already.
Larry. Hello, Larry.
Hey,
I just want to know who screwed up that button, so I know which one of you two to punch in the face. That's all I want to know.
I'm
Neither one of
just
us.
the guy that
Gotta get punched.
that's not my job. That's not my job, Dad. That's not me.
Larry, don't listen
Yeah.
to him.
Derek's
Listen,
gonna
I heard
blame
the
other guy.
Europeans really love Larry, by the way.
Ah!
Oh, we're never going to make it through this if this keeps happening.
I'm gonna
Larry,
go through
we're
the
not.
entire bottle before this happens. All right, so does it include AS calculation? We can, and it can also have a material invoice order, like we can use there's lots of options. It's really a matter of how you want things customized for you. So we do, I hate to say it, we do have a lot of MSOs that use this type of estimating, and so they have a different request. So those things can be all customized. That's just a matter of once, I guess, Bill there gets it assigned to the adjuster, we take it from there. So. Awesome. All right, well, that's the new product. I'm excited. Let's dive into news, some things that we need to talk about. Has anyone else noticed how many Geico C-suite executives have announced in the last 4 months that they've left the company and taken jobs in the collision repair industry? Anybody else noticed that?
It's
Oh, yeah.
insane. It's on LinkedIn every week.
Crash
that's going
Champions just the other day, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
We're gonna get
Illegal,
to that
yeah.
special thing here in a minute, but it's really interesting to watch. Now we know Geico's gonna be for sale. We have heard for about the last couple of years that as Warren Buffett retires, a lot of his collectives are gonna be peeled off. Geico's one of them. In fact, I know State Farm's gonna make a bid for Geico. We'll have to see how that goes. It's a little scary to me to think of a mega insurer.
Yep.
But Geico did replace them for auto count pretty recently, so that'll be interesting to see. But I've watched that exodus, but I thought that's really interesting is that they're all exiting and coming into collision. So we've had them go to OEs, and Tesla, which the Tesla program is just going to hell in a handbasket as fast as it can. I think a lot of the shops that have historically, like the original Tesla shops, those guys were great and they spent a ton of money and they invested in training and they've done all this, and now this program seems to be going extremely DRP driven. Everything $65 an hour. It's almost like, you feel Geico's hands in that whole program. And then the recent announcement of the legal team going to Crash Champions, which a reason I kind of wanted to talk about that one a little bit is that we immediately yesterday saw some announcements or posts start to come out where employees were being asked in meetings to sign liability responsibility forms over ADAS. And I just thought, when this whole Aztec thing happened, you guys heard me ranting and raving about how bad I thought this was for insurers. Like, wait, you're going to make indemnification and repair procedure decisions based on a proprietary database that's going to contradict the OE. I don't see that going well legally. And then, I asked who the hell ran this by legal counsel, because I could just imagine if I'd have walked into counsel when I was still in insurance and said, hey, I got this idea. We're going to make shit up. And then that's how we're going to pay and fix cars. That they would have completely beat me about the head and shoulders. So I wondered, well, who's on the legal team at Geico that makes this decision? Well, then this guy jumped ship. And then yesterday we start seeing employees at Crash posting that there was a meeting and the estimators are being asked to sign forms that says they will be legally liable for any lawsuit that happens.
Personally.
Or personally liable if they forget or misestimate ADAS calibrations. And I'm like, whoa, this is my shirt. No, go ahead and call HR because I ain't signing that form. Right? Like, if you're going to deny certain procedures because an insurer says, and you don't think you have liability there, but you want some poor estimator that just started working for you 2 weeks ago to sign over their life. Like in the insurance industry, we take all liability for an adjuster. Our adjusters do stupid things, right? When I was training, I did stupid shit and got sued all the time. And then I learned. But to do that to employees, I thought, oh my God. So does this guy know something? Because he's coming from Geico that he suddenly said, oh my God, we got to get all these people to sign these forms. Like, I don't know. I thought it was scary. Anybody else heard about the forms? Anybody talk to anybody else? Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I'm watching.
I can't wait till our next PRI against them.
That's
coming.
exactly
I'm
the
coming.
point right there.
I'm coming.
And I love how they play with the ADAS bullshit, but
Oh,
frame measurements, now we don't have to worry about that. Welding, we don't have to worry about that. Wheel alignments, we're not worried about that.
Well, I think there's a lot of things that, I get it. I remember, training in corporate, oh, we don't do that. I remember we used to tell people we only pay for a 2-wheel alignment. That one was good. We got away with that.
oh, those are the good old days.
Right?
Yeah, but guess what? We sue for that, so we won those cases.
But this is really interesting. So you've had the development happen. We talked about what the liability concerns were with a carrier, like any provider, let's say Aztec, whatever you think about it, that's fine. But they're saying they have a proprietary database that they won't share with anybody or talk about it or tell us whatever. And their database has decided when an OE is lying or not, which I'm like, whoo, that's ballsy. And that's scary. But then you have that same insurer, their legal guy pops out and now they're wanting estimators to sign liability forms of personal acceptance. They don't have a lot of control. You're talking about a DRP environment. What are they supposed to do? So now does the shop need to write for everything, wait for a change request to come back from that insurer, and then document that it's a change request? I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work.
Well, Kristen, what about when that estimator is terminated or leaves?
Yep.
The liability that still
Yep.
follows you
Forever.
Yeah.
Like
Especially in
that's the
states where your
liability
life-
that these shops are taking every day when they're fixing cars improperly.
I don't think it was their intent. I mean, like, I really don't think it was their intent, but if I was an employee sitting, like, no estimator is confident. We all feel like, I mean, like, if we're honest, you feel like you're just trying to hold the ends of the world together every day. You're doing the best you can with what you have, right? Whether that's training, the technicians that are behind, whatever, you're doing the best you can. But now it feels like you're being told that you're gonna be the scapegoat. Hey, we're gonna still please all these insurers, we're still gonna meet the requirements on these DRP programs. We're still gonna accept all these corrections, but if it goes wrong, we're gonna take the profit, but not the blame, and we're gonna lay it on the feet of some new employee that, I mean, that's it. I still can't figure out, like, I really wanna sit down with somebody to explain this.
Well, you know, when I first heard that one, I was like, okay, so the estimators now need to be calling their local business insurance agent, which they don't have a
Yep.
relationship with probably, to get
You
their
get an
own
E&O?
personal E&O policy.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, like, I
Good
don't,
luck
I mean,
with
I don't,
that,
yeah,
unless they switch them all to 1099s and they're
Right?
their own contractors.
yeah, I mean, that one was really interesting to me, but I just.
Umbrella and have an estate plan. Like if that's
Yep.
the level of exposure, E&O is
Yeah.
gonna only cover you so much, so
Yes, ma'am.
have,
I should have just turned that over to you, Rachel, that you're the expert.
Right in the wheelhouse.
well, I mean, the liability goes so far. I mean, if that's something that someone in the industry is exposed to, they should really consult an estate planner to look at moving things out of ownership
smart.
and protecting all their assets and stuff
Put
like
it in
that. 'Cause
trust and, yeah.
errors and omissions insurance, in case you're not familiar with E&O, like it only covers you so much. There's deductibles, there's exclusions, as we're familiar
Yep.
with all those things. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
I just can't,
Protection
we're having a
for me.
hard time attracting people to this industry now, and we're gonna tell some poor schlub, hey, here's a job, it's gonna pay you about 60 grand a year, and oh, you might lose everything you've ever owned because of it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I need you to write X number of estimates a week, and I need you to take X number of phone calls, and I need you to have a customer service score of a 9 or better, and it's just like. I mean, these people are not miracle workers, I mean, as much as I wanna give them a hard time, and I do, that just seemed really, really unfair.
And you can't piss off our insurance partners.
Yeah.
Can't do that. Don't piss off our insurance partners. 'cause
Mark,
they're
I think it's due. I think we're due, Mark.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Just like the Europeans.
absolutely,
Wow.
absolutely.
so. Yeah, it's great. We're gonna talk a little bit more about Aztec later. We got a guest speaker that I'm really excited for, or guest, I don't wanna say speaker, we have a guest joiner. We have somebody joining us that I'm gonna let them show us some things or whatever. So that was interesting. Next thing in the news, claims volume is down again. We knew this was happening. We erroneously predicted it to happen in 2015, and boy, did we screw that one up as an industry. But it seems to have finally happened where claims volume is down. And I think everybody across the country is a little slow. Some people are like, yeah, we're still a little bit okay. And then I go, you know, how far are you booked out? And they go, well, we used to be 6 weeks booked out. We're now booked out 2 weeks. Okay, things are slow, just not slowish for you. So you hear that all around. And then a survey came out. We saw that come out the other day. Of people that had claims or had accidents, 39% of those people that reported that they did not file a claim. Because they didn't want the cost and the whatever. And 24% of the people that did file a claim regretted it. I thought, wow, that's a harsh statistic. And that the other thought then for me was like, okay, well, these people must have high deductibles or whatever, but all of these people had deductibles that were less than $1,000. So I think it's interesting when you have 39% of people who had an accident, a potential claim, a car that we, you know, whatever, they elected not to file a claim. So now we have to ask ourselves, are we seeing more owner pay work come in the shop, or are we just not seeing any of that work at all? Is that now the disappearing opportunities in claims?
I saw 5 in the last week and a half come in, want to pay cash, and we
Yep.
switched them over to claims because I just showed them, you know, the hood, the fender, and the bumper cover are this much money. Without turning a nut, bolt, or screw, painting anything, you're already at $4,000 in parts. I had a guy come in with a BMW. Someone backed into his car and broke his $7,000 headlight. I was like, really? You're gonna pay $7,000 out of your pocket for a stupid headlight? You know, what's gonna happen in 2-3 years when you put like a nose on this car and you got $14,000 in headlights and nothing else you bought yet? You know, the bumper's another $2,000 in pieces. The aluminum hood's like $1,800. The fenders are like $700-800 a piece. You're talking a lot of money here just in parts prior to even getting to, and the car's prices in certain areas drop down to, I mean, you know, we deal with a lot of Audi A8s, and after 3 years, they're worthless.
Yeah.
versus an S-Class Benz might hold its value maybe 5 years, a 7 Series maybe 4 years, but Audi
Yep.
A8's tank. Yet, conversely, an R8, a 2010 R8 is still worth a lot of money, funny enough, for some odd reason. So it depends on
Larry.
the car, the market, the place that you're in. You know, I think you're going to see a bunch of customers coming in trying to pay cash, and I think you're going to wind up switching them with just showing them part prices alone, how much they are. And I think
Yeah,
they're going
Billy,
to
because that's because those are European
We're-
cars, right?
Yeah, I think it's a guilty.
Hey, you know,
Hey, don't laugh at yourself. We
We're-
had
You
a
think
Lexus
everybody else
come
caught
in,
on already? I think they caught on
the
already.
hood restraint
Hey,
went
hey,
off.
Larry, just so you
Yeah.
know, before you got on the call earlier, so we have the we have the word, you know, the fun word, you know, we'll just
Yeah.
European. But then we also decided that after the first hour and you've had enough to drink, we're gonna have to also have a safe word.
What's the safe? Giraffe's my safe word.
Giraffe,
All the time, all of my mouth. That's usually how it is. I'm like that. Giraffe, giraffe. That's usually like that. So you want me to scream out giraffe?
Do we want you to scream out giraffe?
Wait.
No. No. I think I speak for the whole room when I say no on that.
No.
That's a,
Listen, everybody, I'm taking bets by at least 45 minutes. That whole back wall is going down. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I don't know.
Because then
we are recording it, and then
if I
Yanni
was
will
at
make
your
a
house, Billy, yeah, guaranteed that shit's coming down. But I gotta clean it. I can't leave. If I leave, I come back, it's still messed up.
yeah, he's got to pick it up.
I gotta pick it up.
Larry, I'm only a couple miles away, bro. It's all right.
I already hear the cops coming. Is that you,
Hey,
Larry? Is that...
Well,
They come by all the time. They want to talk, but there's usually
Nah,
no.
that's
I tell them talk to each
illegal.
other.
Oh, nice. Well, I think what's interesting as we watch claim count, I mean, we've always talked about this constricting market that's going to happen, and claim count continues to draw down. But we always thought it would be like lowering claims count, lowering drive miles, all those kind of
Well,
things.
Kristen, I actually have a question you may be able to answer. So is there an opposite correlation? Is policies growing
Policies are
overall?
growing. Yeah, so I mean, the insurers are reporting drastic growth in premium. And then so
Well,
we
loss ratio.
had to dissect that and go, well, how much of that is rate increase over policy? Policies written are still right about where they need to be. I mean, so there's not been
Okay.
like a drastic drop off in policies. So
But like, is loss
I-
ratios up and down?
Well, car sales are up.
Yep.
You know,
They're
car
coming
sales
back.
are up. They're selling cars. What we have to realize is, you know, that your base model Toyota or Toyota Corolla or Nissan Sentra comes standard with accident avoidance, you know, emergency braking. That's standard now. So these cars are getting a little bit safer. And us in New York or other metropolitan cities, you're going to get, like you get on Houston, you got a big interstate. Dallas has a big interstate. It's always stop and go traffic in the morning. And we count on those stop and go traffics to give us rear collisions, front collisions, and get cars into the job. A lot of these things aren't getting in accidents anymore.
those cars,
You're
yeah.
not paying attention. Forget about full autonomous driving. They're semi-autonomous, and they wake up pretty quick and go to stop. I know my Durango that I had was great at doing that. The Benz I bought now is even better at it. You know, so you have these cars that automatically so we're not getting these smaller fender benders anymore. It's human error that's going to take these cars over. You know.
well, I think you see people going, hey, if I'm gonna have to make a claim, I know I'm gonna get punished for it. So they want it to be a large amount of money, and almost anything $5,000 and down that they're kind of figuring out, which kind of makes me chuckle, because people always say we can't charge the customer, they don't have any money. Amazing how people can find money when they need it, right? Like mechanics have made a complete business over people paying, but I think we'll see this trend up, and then it's gonna make shops have to think a couple of different ways. One, you may not be able, these large mega operations anymore may not be able to push the same amount of volume to them. So the smaller shop may be in a better position to survive, make money, be profitable, whatever. It'll be interesting to see how it affects those people.
So Kristen, I have a question.
Yep.
Sorry to cut you off. Just got out there. So do you have any insight as to the deductibles that these policies are signing up for? Like if they're signing up for higher deductibles, just to keep the rates lower?
Yeah.
Everybody's pushing a deductible up, even though if they know they can't afford it. So I used to caution customers, don't pick a deductible you can't afford, but they figure out that they'd rather try to come up with a $2,000. When I was writing policies a $500 deductible was the kind of the most we had, and that was unheard of, right? Everybody, but you see $2,000, $3,000. I think we'll see insurers maybe move more to percentage deductibles the same way they have in the homeowners business. They've been tinkering
Yep.
that for about 10 years now.
We got a lot of.
I just had a
we got a lot of
Lamborghini.
Geico in, and they're $3,000. A lot of the
Seen
claims.
it.
They're
Progressive.
$3,000
Wow.
deductibles right off the bat. And I'm talking Benz, Audi. Not some cheap car. I'm talking people that bought an expensive car and they got $3,000 deductibles.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Did you see
European
it,
cars.
Shaw?
Yeah, I
European.
just had a Lamborghini come in, $5,000 deductible on a Lamborghini Huracan convertible. And we
Yeah.
do
That's
a
not
lot.
shocking, yeah.
We
I've
do a
seen that
lot
a
of
lot.
those exotic cars. We do a ton of Ferraris, Lambos, McLarens. At any given time, we'll have like Rolls Royces in these cars, and they're all coming in with crazy high deductibles because I'm sure that driving record has a lot to do with a few of them. Like I know some of these guys personally, but also just because like the price these insurance companies are charging on these cars are just absolutely astronomical for the policies. It's insane.
Well,
And
some of those deductibles are.
Yep, commercial.
Oh, hey, there's my AI camera ready to work. Some of those deductibles are meant to be deterrents. So when you have a car that's an exotic, you push the deductible as high as you can because you don't want them to turn in small claims. Because there's no such thing as a small claim on a McLaren, right? There's no like a scratch on a fender. You're paying the whole car almost. So some of those deductibles are meant to be deterrents. But I think you just see people trying to make ends meet. They're trying to the rent and everything and food and whatever. So if you can save some money with a deductible. If they have a claim, they may not be able to actually come up with that deductible, so that's one thing, as a shop, we need to start thinking ahead of time about. Do you have the money, maybe we don't wait until the cars, like, where's the checks, we have also check issues with insurance companies going on right now, but. Just a lot of different things, but I think smaller shops are gonna have to contract, because the claim count's gonna contract, none of this volume. Fixing 200 cars a month, that probably is gonna come into play. And then shops may have to start thinking about some diversification. We may have to think of other things we can do besides just the big collision. We may have to, maybe our shop mechanic also has a mechanic to the public or whatever. So it's gonna be interesting to watch this go, and we'll keep an eye on claim count. I don't see it rebounding. It's not like it's once the economy recovers. Maybe if car sales picking up, I don't know.
yeah, I think the deductible thing is huge because nowadays it's very rare to see, like in our shop, we're in Southern California, Orange County. So we almost never see a deductible under $1,000. And what that does, like you said earlier, is it just pushes up that level of what the damage needs to be. And obviously, Larry, you mentioned this on any of the, I don't want to say the word, but on any of those type of cars,
You
a
can't.
headlight alone is $8,000 nowadays, right? On anything that's newer than a 2020, BMW, Mercedes, those type of cars. And so I think that a lot of people are just willing to, not only do they need that damage to be a lot more, right? But they also are not willing to come out of their pocket because I think just with right now with inflation really catching up to people, they don't have that extra $2,000 to spend on their car, or $1,000 to spend on the deductible. And I think, I think that just especially during the election year, we're gonna see a lot more of that. We've seen it. Like we used to probably intake 15 cars a week, and it's almost been an average of for the past 3 months, like I'd say 7 to 8 cars a week. That's almost half. So
I
big
see a
difference.
lot of people, and I'll stop people at the Walmart parking lot, because I'm one of those people. With damage on their cars, right? And most people are just, well, it's still functional, so I'm just gonna live with it, which is interesting, because that means.
Yep.
We're losing
Mhm.
those claims for repairability in the shop, but we're also losing the customer pay opportunity as well. People are just living with the damage. And maybe, like I said, maybe if the economy turns around, but it's just gonna be really interesting to kind of watch that happen, so.
The person that scrapes their
was an
car.
interesting survey.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just thought it was an interesting survey. I really like the 24% of people that actually did file a claim regretted it. I felt,
I wonder why. Yeah.
yeah, like who
exactly.
screwed that pooch? Like, was it the claims was it the carrier, was it the shop? Like, if somebody had to have a claim, like, I used to tell my adjusters, they would get mad at
Yeah.
claim volume, right, which is usually high. I mean, at the time, it was like 44,000 claims a day were coming into the claim center. And I'm like, look, if people stop filing claims, we ain't got jobs. So like,
Yep.
like a claim is your chance to like job security. It better, handle it like it's gold or whatever. And now the claims service is so bad. And I just kind of want to shake people. And go,
Even speaking to that, I mean, the claims being down affects us all, like even as, the software guys or, and I don't know if Yanni can speak to this too, but I mean, we don't have contracts or subscriptions, and I feel like as claims go down, one of the first things that shops do is get rid of that,
Everything.
you know, exactly everything. So we're one of those people. And so for that, you know, we've had an influx in cancellations over the last few months due exactly to that, claims being down. Hey, we love your product, we'll be back, but right now, you know, we're taking care of it. So we all feel it.
Yeah,
We
and I
all
think
feel
you're
it.
like me, Derek. I got some cancellations and always in the economy, and we're, our
Mhm.
VIPs are 300 a month. That's not much. Your product 99. I mean, but every penny
Exactly.
matters right now to everybody. So
Yep.
you just have to go. I feel you, and good luck and Godspeed, and hope to see you, right. So,
Yep.
all right. So let's move on to some legal changes that are happening. We've seen it pop up. You've seen people posting in the groups. You've seen some articles come across. What's really interesting is the insurers have discovered that they can't necessarily get RTA out of the policy as fast as they wanted. So the shops, kudos, good job. You guys have worked well in your states.
Yeah.
To kind of make people aware of the benefits of RTA. And so me just going down to the state and going, yeah, get that shit out of the policy. We don't want to do this anymore. So really new, interesting take. So in Texas, we have seen the Texas Attorney General start sending letters to shops that they're under investigation for too many RTAs, or trying to say that they're acting as an adjuster or whatever. In other states, we've seen them file other motions against shops. So it's kind of interesting to watch this getting crafty. And then we just saw an article where one state was trying to rewrite the language of what constitutes a public adjuster to basically rule body shops out of the mix. And so people had to step in and go, hey, stop, kind of have to do this. I know a lot of our shop owners also kind of sidebar have public adjusting companies as well. So that's really interesting. But I thought Bill and Mark Olson, you guys might take a few minutes to tell us what you're seeing with RTAs. You guys handle so many of them. I'm the never chosen umpire.
You're on my list. Nobody picks you.
Nobody
Sorry.
picks me. I don't know why.
I mean,
I
I'll
was
just
surprised.
throw my.
I was surprised
Yeah.
one time somebody picked Larry as an umpire.
That blew my fucking.
I have
That was
two. I have
crazy.
two in the last 2 years. Shocking.
And it hurt my feelings. Like, why the hell would you pick Larry Montanez and not me? Like,
Wait. I'm going to set the record straight right now. Larry is not a good choice as an umpire because it's worse for the person
he's an
selecting him.
asshole. Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I'm a complete
the
dickbag.
worst.
So fucked up. I asked a billion questions. I want proof of
man.
everything. I want to see this. I want to see that. Show me proof. Otherwise, I'm not fucking agreeing to it.
Who needs an I hate Larry
you're kinda
t-shirt
like-
when everybody just beats you up on these webinars, man?
Well, the funny part is it's kind of like with Larry. It's like, okay, you have down here touch up bolt heads. You only have a picture of one bolt head. How many did you touch up? Well, I can only pay for one then. It's like,
Right.
Larry.
I pre-measured the car. All right, where's the measurement printer? I accidentally deleted it. All right, fuck you. You're not getting paid to measure it. You put it on the bench? Yeah, I put it on the bench. Okay, where's the picture of it on the bench? I don't have that. You're not getting paid to put it on the fucking bench. Take a fucking picture.
I
had one.
And pretend it's on there. At least put it next to the frame machine. Like, oh, it's going up next. Like, I don't even have that.
That's why I'm glad they don't pick you, Larry.
Yeah, I have to agree. Really, you got the doors
I
off.
told
But
people,
why are the hinges still on?
she would love to go ahead and fucking tell me I'm wrong on something.
All right, so Mark and Bill, what are you seeing with RTAs? And then I see Mr. McDormand,
I'll go-
Dr. Roberts on here. He may have to chime in too.
Robert McDormand's on.
There's lots of them.
Wait, everybody. The patron saint of claims, Mr. Robert McDormand. Good to see you, sir. As
Yes,
always.
sir. Yes.
I really fast. I know Mark and I talk a lot about it. I always reinforce to any client that talks to us, it is not the best resort. I'll always say that. It's trending in one direction that I'm seeing, and like Mark and I spoke about this the other day. 99% are being deferred to umpire. Robert McDormand's a very busy man because he's the go-to guy.
They ghost you, Billy, right? They ghost
Yeah,
us.
and then they ghost you.
They don't
which even-
respond. You know the insurance company is meddling and interfering by getting the adjuster involved. And now it used to be, I'll be honest, and you guys tell me if you see something different. It used to be, let's say the shop wrote 8, the insurance company wrote 4. I suggested
6.
go to court. They don't want to go to court, so they want to go RTA. And the independent appraiser comes back at 6.
Yep, always used to be. Yeah.
And now it's like the insurance company
0.
wrote 4, the shop wrote 8, and now the independent adjuster's coming in at 1,500.
Right.
Yep.
Like they're going backwards.
Yeah.
and they refuse to. You say I send my estimate. It's like, oh, we're too far off. Let's go to umpire. We're not going to negotiate at all. No, we're going right to
Oh.
umpire. Well, who the fuck decided that? You're supposed to discuss this. You're going to cost my customer more money. Like, what are you doing here? And then they don't answer you for weeks.
I mean, the shame of it is that I've represented Mark and I both represented both sides, and I'm proud of that. But what often happens is it's very rare that when you're fair overall, because it's always about the car with me. But it's at the same time, the second you have a bad ruling or you provide an equitable settlement for either side, the carrier is mostly dumpy anyway. So it's and that's a shame, and that's what happens. So I tell clients now, I'm like, just get ready for umpire. It's just the way that it's going to go.
And it's going to take longer. You know,
I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, to throw it out there, Mark and I mentioned this the other day. I mean, what we're seeing, like legitimately seeing a lot of is total losses. Total losses are coming out the wazoo. I'm doing 30 a week with my partner. It's crazy.
Well,
it's
I
like,
send a
Mark,
lot to you. I won't do total losses anymore. So I just send them to
I like total losses. I like total
I'm seeing
losses.
a lot more total losses. You know, I'm going to say, like, let's kind of do a little history here. 2 years ago, we were doing, I don't know, probably 5 RTAs a week, just kind of on a normal rotation. We're doing about 20 now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And of those, about 5 of those are ACVs, and 6 months ago, maybe one of them was. It's so ACVs are definitely going. I mean, people are, it's sign of the times. Used car prices are dropping. They don't have gap insurance. They're, I got one lady, I just settled one today, and she was 10 grand upside down. I was able to close the gap by about 6, but she still owes 4. I mean, she didn't have gap. So, a lot of
bad credit.
What's that?
Bad credit they have. That's ridiculous. And the dealer will just keep rolling it over into the new payment. You never get rid of that $4 grand from 10 years ago when you bought a car and you had a 420 credit rating. And you're paying $400 a month for a stripped down Ultima.
No, it's true.
A lot of what I'm seeing now is there's how do I say this and not get a cease and desist letter like Kristen talks about?
It's coming to me anyway. No matter what anybody says, it all comes to me. So it's fine.
Okay, so I'm speaking on behalf of Kristen here. So if you have a problem with this, send a letter to Kristen.
You do little kitties.
There's a lot of national companies that have struck some kind of deal with the insurance companies.
Alacrity. I'll say it. Alacrity.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it.
But there's another big one too.
There's another big one. Yeah.
SCA.
Okay, there we go.
Another one.
And there's so long story short, those are those claims are going there, and then we keep winding up with the same people that we couldn't agree with on the last claim, and now we're dealing with the same person on that same claim, and they just get drug on. I mean,
how many are you getting, Mark? How many, and Billy? How many? Well, I know Billy, but Mark, how many are you getting that it's actually a supplement on the original estimate? They're not even writing their own independent one. They're just writing a supplement on the insurance company's estimate.
Almost every time.
Almost every time. And we know it's better, or no estimate at all, or nothing.
Yeah, no, they refuse to give an estimate.
Or they're saying, company. Or they're saying, and I love this. That so here's my estimate. They go, oh wow, okay, well, and then I say, send me yours, and they go, okay. And before they send it, they go, I want to warn you that my estimate mirrors the insurance estimate. It's like, well, yeah, it's like the same number. So it's pretty much a mirror. You rekeyed it, did whatever you did.
Well, here's the thing that's happening with it. It's that 20 years ago, we used to go to claim school, right? And you learned the rules of the game, and you learned what the ethics and your fiduciary role and all that. I have to be fair and equitable, whether I want to or not. That's the rule of insurance. And I have to be fair and equitable, even when I hate the shop or even when I hate my customer. That happens a lot too. Because that training's gone, we've got people in seats that are making emotional decisions about what should be. As a claims adjuster, you don't get to be emotional. I understand you're human, but you don't get to be. So a lot of what I see when you guys call me is it's blatant bad faith. It's just a matter of documenting it, writing the emails the right way, getting the customer to file the 2 to 3 DOI complaints that have to go with it to show that. And then eventually somebody's going to come along and have the intelligence to probably make it a class action or file. I mean, nobody stops doing any bad behavior until a judge spanks them for it. But some of the activity, I mean, Mark, you've got something you're gonna share at the end of the night.
Yep.
But a fantastic example of, yep, that's bad faith, right? Like,
Yeah,
you know, like.
that's a good
Kristen,
one.
I
That's
have a
good one.
question. Kristen, I would like to interrupt you. I'll tell you what we've dealt with is we filed suit against Allstate, and we ended up winning judgment and bad faith. And all it's done is created Allstate waiting a month to come and look at every single vehicle that comes to our facility.
I mean, so Larry had that. I mean, Larry's, I mean,
Yep.
they sue and he wins, and then they end up sending the girl from Arkansas to New York to look at a car. That's not a really fast inspection, right? But that's when you just have to keep documenting it, because now you're even delaying claims. Like, the worst thing you can do as an adjuster is delay a claim. Because then you arbitrarily inflate the bill and you do a lot of these. It just becomes that documenting in hope that you eventually get a DOI to go, wait, that's a business practice, and I'm gonna do a fine. Sure, it's a $50,000 fine. It's stupid. It doesn't hurt an insurer, but it just plants a flag. But there's so much paperwork from so many different individuals. It can't just be the one shop that does all the paperwork all the time, but there's so much paperwork to kind of get that. But I think we're trending there, and I end up on the phone with a lot of insurers lately going, you can do whatever you want. I totally respect it. It's your claim and you're in charge. But you've just handed me a Christmas present. And if you want to settle it, awesome. If you want to keep forward, awesome. That's fine. I'm just giving you a chance to go, here's what you did wrong and why. And a lot of it is just, you know, when you don't offer a fair settlement, that happens, right? We all can sometimes. I've ended up paying shit I didn't think I owed, right? And I was adamant I didn't owe it until judge told me I did. But now we've had a disagreement. The customer's invoked a policy provision. I have to make I really have to work hard to make a good faith effort. And when you come back with a low ball because you're just trying to push the umpire, that's textbook bad faith. But it doesn't matter what I think or you think or whatever until a customer gets an attorney and gets a verdict.
And that's the problem. The customer just wants
That is the problem.
They want their car
back.
back.
You know, at the end of the day.
Process.
And that's a
customer never wants to do that again.
Yeah.
And it becomes an issue, you know.
Yep.
I mean, look, Bill, you know, Bill Island had that whole issue with a particular insurer that made cars outside. It took 5 years to settle, but it cost them like, you know, $1.5 million for not looking at cars inside the shop and making them push outside and all sorts of violations. And, you know, it winds up working, but it puts other companies in line. Problem is that everyone has that money to invest in that type of stuff for the time to invest.
The customer just wants their car fixed. That's all they want.
But like Matthew's case, Matthew's got a verdict, planted a flag. The next customer that Allstate screws up, that previous planted flag becomes the evidence of the business practice. I mean, so it's just like stacking the Legos, but it's painful, it's tedious, and it's expensive.
And not every shop.
I got one right now.
You know, but you got to have the money for it.
Yeah, well, I
Mark,
got one.
What are you gonna do, Mark? He's European. He's European, Mark.
That's right. Yeah, well,
that's twice.
Yeah. Well, you know, here's the problem. You know, you're getting sober there. It's not
all right. So Mark, we covered a lot. We talked about kind of insurance claim handling and law and everything. And now you've got an announcement. So you got something cool.
You know, it kind of ties exactly into what we're talking about here. So, you know, for the people that do RTAs on here, you would probably all agree with me. Yeah. Some people that when the insurance company hires them, or I get hired by insurance companies and the consumer hires them, it's like, oh, that's so-and-so. I know who they are. And you get together and you get the claim done. And 2 weeks later, it's all over. It's good.
Yep.
And then there are some that they don't have a friggin' clue what they're doing.
Zero.
And, you know, that's I didn't write my own estimate. Well, technically they don't have to. I got it because it just says spit a number. Okay, fine, whatever. But some people are doing these that have no business doing these. And some people that are doing these actually are pretty good. And, you know, and it's not necessarily specific to any individual company. You know, and so some are good and some are not. And I don't care if you want to say what companies they're from, there's no pattern necessarily. So one of the things that, you know, Kristen and I, we've been talking a lot about, and Billy, a little bit with you, a little bit with Larry, is we just don't have any training. People don't know what they're doing. So I got one guy that I've been kind of mentoring a little bit. And he was, he was formerly with an insurance company, got laid off, and I'm kind of mentoring him a little bit on, okay, now he goes, okay, calls me, goes, okay, what do I do now? Or can you help me with this? Or, just
Yep.
all the stupid stuff I made mistakes on because there was no training, right?
Yep.
Well, 25 years later, I'm not bad at it, right? And of course, there's scripts and what do you say to people and what do you not and all that kind of thing. So, brilliant idea, I think. So partnering with Collision Hub and a lot of other people on the call, like, Bill and Larry and Derek and, Rachel, she's gone now and blah, blah, blah. And
We
Yanni.
can talk about it.
Huh?
We can talk about her now.
Well, we are going to. So bottom line is we're going to set up a nationwide licensing of appraisers. Now, not licensing like you got a piece of paper on the wall that says you're certified in anything. That's not it. A company name that you can license under, and there's other companies currently out there doing similar things. Here's what makes us different, way different. First of all, there's a vetting process. Like you have to actually have known a little bit about what you are doing, and you have to have some experience. So we're going to vet that. Not a checkbook is not your gateway to get into this. Okay. First thing. Second thing is training. Now you say, okay, we'll do a couple Zoom calls. No, 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 no. It's welcome to Arkansas. And you get to deal with me and Larry and Kristen for a couple of weeks.
I'm
Hey, can I
out.
write the entrance?
Oh my God, right? But what we're going to cover though, what we're going to cover is, RTAs. I mean, what are they? How do they work? When's a good time? When's not a good time? Just because a customer calls you and says, I want to invoke my appraisal clause, I sometimes, or most of the time,
Tell them not to.
tell them not to. Don't do that. What are you doing? And then that's on repair. There's also the ACVs. And then when you're in Georgia, it's also in for DV. Then also, if they're uninsured or underinsured motorist in many states, you can claim and do the RTA in there too. Most people don't know that, but how do you handle that is really important. How do you read a policy? What's in the policy? It's really great. South Dakota, did you guys know that the RTAs are not binding?
Yep.
Isn't that cool? It's like you do all the
Shout
work.
out to Harvard.
You say, well, that's really
I
nice,
think
but we're not
Delaware's
paying.
that way, too.
Right?
Delaware is non-binding, so we make an agreement. It's like, yeah, we don't want to pay it.
Yeah, we don't want to pay.
But
or it could be
that's
Rhode
going
Island.
bad for an insurer to not do
But that's what it says, right? And then there's also the whole other world of doing attorney work. Attorneys need people to help them as their expert witnesses to help them with their cases. What does that look like? And what are the services you can offer? And then of course, like Bill said, and I do, I mean, insurance companies hire us too.
Yep.
Not a problem, but how do you dance that and make it work for everybody? And then of course, all the expert witness stuff. So we are going to be selling, we haven't named the company yet, but in conjunction with all the different people, a license where you can have a license and you have access to the scripts, you have access to everything. So when somebody calls in and says, I need this, it's like, great. It's kind of press play and walk away. Here's your script. Here's what you say. You need to be off the phone within 5 minutes, whether they want to hire you or not. If you're on the phone for 10 or 15, you didn't follow the script, right?
Yep.
It's just very, very simple and really, really straightforward by people that have been there, done that for a long time. Bill in New York and me and Larry, and there's a lot of other people on this call. Robert McDormand, Robert's done more than he's forgotten more than I've ever done, I'm sure. But the reality is that if we have a bunch of people that are experts that really do know what they're doing, that's going to really serve the consumer much better. See, if we go back to that conversation of there's 24% of the consumers that regretted actually filing a claim, makes you wonder how many of those were because of people that didn't actually know what they were talking about when they got the phone calls, really. And so, it becomes a nationwide affiliation, and it empowered by the reach of, I hate to say it, Kristen, but Collision Hub. There's a lot big reach.
2 million people a month traffic.
Yeah. How many people call you, Kristen, saying, hey, I need somebody that can handle an RTA in XYZ state?
Melanie gets about 20 calls a week. That's people that, because we don't have really a form for them to fill out. So she takes about 20 calls a week from a consumer or a shop looking for a referral.
Right. Yeah. So so the opportunities, the referral. And what we thought was, why don't we take the experts and create something that, people can buy a license for it and actually we know that you're trained to do it, you know, and then maybe you bring in somebody new that doesn't know anything. Well, you send them out to Bill and hang out in New York over there for Collision Training Institute, learn how to write an estimate. I mean, there's all kinds of resources that are available here that we're going to be doing. So kind of stay tuned. We're looking to launch it in first quarter of 2025. So if you're thinking about signing up or joining up with another company and hanging your shingle and spending a bunch of money on licensing, you might want to hold off and look at what we have to offer. So just a little teaser there, Kristen.
Yeah, so
So you talk about the insurance side.
Yeah, so what we're gonna do is it's pretty awesome. It's also gonna have coaching and support, so it's not a come down here and get training. So we're gonna support those people like year-round, 24/7, 365. We do that already for shops in our VIP program. You actually have a texting portal. You can text with me, or Larry or Jason. Good news, 90% of the time you're talking to Jason. You'll know when it's Larry.
Hey,
But
He must be
I can
European,
hear you.
Kristen.
This is on.
yeah,
He must be European.
yeah, so the one thing that your
Must be.
program will include, and hold on. All right, so the one thing, this is claims training. This is claims training 101. It was called the TEACH program. It was a total evaluation for auto claims excellence. We're gonna teach you TEACH. So you're gonna come in and you're basically gonna get State Farm's Claim School. I'm bringing it back. I miss it. It was my favorite class to teach. It was 2 weeks in Bloomington if you had to take it. But State Farm Claim School is coming back. Of course, it's not gonna be State Farm Claim School, but it's just gonna be claims in general, and we're gonna learn to read policies, and we're gonna learn law, and we're gonna learn how you're supposed to evaluate a claim, and how you put together an evaluation report, and how you approach settlement, and then what to do when it goes wrong, right? If everybody accepted your settlement offer the first time, no one would need training. But then what that goes wrong, and then hopefully people get support, because I take calls, Mark takes calls all day long from people that are IAs. And they're like, I got a problem, this happened, and now I don't know what to say. We're just gonna put a little bit more formality around that so that everybody has support, and you don't have to go out and spend money and whatever. We're hoping the 2 million average traffic to the Collision Hub content, because we have so many videos on YouTube, and there's 20 years worth of content out there, that gives us a lot of SEO. And so we get a lot of that traffic, and so we're hoping that we'll be able to push that through. So great news. All right, I do have a question that's come in, and I'm gonna it's on the chat. I'm gonna respond to it as well, but then we may come back to it and open a discussion. But I want to move on to our issue discussion. So at each one of these, I want to have some big topic that we discuss. And there is nothing that I am more angry at right now than Aztec. Royally
You don't say.
off, right? Like, we had a run-in with them a couple of years ago. When they first started, we loved that company. I pushed them, I supported them. I know Mike Anderson did the same thing, and we really felt like they stabbed us in the back. But that's okay. You can come after us and you can let us down, but damn it, you can't let consumers and shops down. I'm gonna get a little angry after that. But regardless of how we feel about that whole process of them giving pricing, or they've got this proprietary thing or whatever, the biggest problem with this whole Aztec move, and yet I'm gonna keep saying it, I'm sure I'm gonna get more cease and desist letters. Okay. I'm gonna have a GoFundMe for my legal fees because I'm a little broke right now. So it's all right. But is that there's a movement, because some people have gone to the insurers and told that there's a movement that believes all body shops should bring ADAS in-house. There's a precedent for this. If we go back to the 80s, nobody had a frame machine. There were frame shops, and every time that you had a car that had to have framework, you sent it to the frame shop and then you got it back. And so the insurers kind of feel like, well, what we did with the DRP program kind of at the end of the 90s was we made a requirement that you had to have a frame machine, right? Well, some people, it's just in the corner and it gathers dust and they barely ever use it, but they can check that box and get on a DRP. So we brought frame in-house, and there's no more frame shops. You don't travel around the country and see a frame shop anymore like you used to. And the insurers believe that ADAS and calibration should be in-house, and it should be something that every body shop in America does without having to sublet it. And that is absolutely impossible. It cannot be in-house. I mean, I've been kind of, Larry was always take it to the dealer. And then
European
that's
dealer.
not always a solution. And we've got some mobile guys, and we got there. So I've got a guest that's joining us, Mr. Thomas down there. I don't know. I made you a guest, and I'm guest host. Are you all good to go, sir? All right. I asked, I know I made him a co-host. He might have left. He might have got really tired of my shit and already left. Okay.
It's like I'm getting sued. I can't be on this.
There he is. All right. So what I've done, I know like probably 10 or 15 years ago at SEMA one year, we all got invited out to take a look at Bert Porter makes all this equipment that's in the factory. So everybody always asks me, well, how does the OE calibrate cars? And I go, it's a $10 million machine, right? But we've got mobile. I really wanted him to come and talk about what they're doing, why we have these dedicated facilities that are doing ADAS and calibrations, and what limits me as a body shop from being able to do them. One, my math skills. I really suck at math. But there are some other things. So I'm gonna let you take it, sir, if you want to go.
Sure. Thank you.
There you
Thanks,
are.
Chris. Sorry, all of a sudden I lost my internet.
You've been hanging out for an hour, so good.
Is that
I can grab on square.
I'll quit the commercial and just tell you a little bit about why we got into space and what we saw the need. You know, the common issues we saw in the aftermarket are here. You can read for yourself. You all know them well in the environments within which you work. You know, inadequate space, non-flat floors, non-controlled lighting, etc. And so we created Centric to deal with this and a number of other issues in the aftermarket. So we have a very specific requirement for our facilities, where, you know, we generally speaking look for 7,000 to 9,000 square feet, open space, clear span, neutral white walls, controlled lighting, no ambient lights, very level floors. And in fact, that's one of the TIs we always have, is one area we have to have almost a perfectly level floor. Here's what a typical facility looks like. There's 3 pieces of equipment in our facilities. You can see in the right-hand side, there's an alignment machine.
You know what, Addison, we can't see it.
Addison, I don't think you're sharing your screen.
Sorry,
Down
that
at the
might
bottom,
help.
you'll see a green little box. Click on that and then go
got
to
it.
the screen. All right.
Well, that would help, Addison.
Thank you.
There you go.
There we go.
That's it. Okay,
There
we
we
can
go.
see it now.
So
Good.
this is the app. These are the issues. This is what a Centric lab requires. And then this is our facility. This is the alignment rack over here. It's a Hunter alignment rack. I'll explain a little bit about each piece of equipment at the end here. Here's one of our pieces of equipment. It's called the Super Center. You can see our facilities all will look very much the same. Very clean. We call it a lab because it's a clean environment. This is another angle. You can see the Super Center over here. This is called a target positioning system. And both of these can provide different types of calibrations. So this is a better, shows you everything in one, really. So this at the top, this is the target positioning system. And what it allows us to do is all the 360, all the blind spot, all the lane departure, all those. The floor here is perfectly flat, virtually. It's treated, it's epoxied, so that we don't have to do we don't have to worry about the environment. We've created the proper environment to provide a proper calibration. Then the bottom is called the Super Center. This is for front camera. It can do a front camera in about 10 to 15 minutes. It's fully automated. There's no measure, there's no plumb bob, there's no strings. It's fully automated. All the targets have RFID chips in it. You can't put a Toyota on a Honda. It's automated. It automatically, the software, the equipment delivers the target at the proper height and the proper distance. It's all software driven. Again, the alignment rack, and then you can see we have we adhere to OE standards. So we use all OE tools, OE targets, OE procedures, and we've created an OE type environment for our calibrations. And these are some of the other targets for the 360s and the blind spots. I'll share with you a little, if I can do it. Oh, here we go. This is what this is at SEMA Garage. This is embedded in the floor. Our super center has recreated this, but above ground, so we don't have to make the capital investment. And watch because this happens pretty fast. But you can see how it automatically centers the vehicle. So we just pull the vehicle onto the super center, and this is what it does in order to square the vehicle up and make sure it's in the proper position for our calibration. So that's what we do. Just a little bit of the commercial. This is our vision. And again, Kristen wanted me to share primarily the space, what the space looks like.
Yeah.
So I'll focus on that.
So I haven't been in a body shop in my life that looks like that, right?
Yeah.
Like to have, it's not just if you have a Miracle and you have a level floor, great. But then do you have the right lighting? And I think as I learned, really liked this. I mean, like, do I have the right lighting? And then do I have the right floor? And then can I do the math? Because you don't just lay those targets out and poof, you get, I mean, there's math involved to where they go. I got body techs that can't figure out how to measure where to cut quarter panel. I'm damn sure not letting them put these targets down on the floor, right? Like there's just not a way when you see what it takes to calibrate that this comes into a body shop. And then how do we train, Tim, the technician who can't put the toilet seat down on Taco Tuesday break to be the one that has to have this? I mean, I just don't see a world ever where calibration comes inside. I like a body shop, like a frame machine thing. I think there's always a few outliers out there that you have to find service opportunities for. But I think this is the dangerous of what Aztec's doing or trying to propose, is that it's this push that this is so easy, anyone can do it. It's only $45. And then I see this, and then, the mobile guys are always telling me, well, I had to reject a car 5 times because the body shop couldn't repairs right. And I'm thinking, well, you rejected it, but would Tim do that if he brought it in house, or would he figure out a way to deliver that car on Friday? So, to me, that's the danger. I mean, there's a lot of dangers to what Aztec's trying to do with Geico, but I think there's some far-reaching dangers as well.
Hey, Addison, let me ask a quick question. So you said, I forget specifically which one you were talking about there, but you said this kind of is, it's does the whole thing. You just put it up there. It does it all by itself in 10 or 15 minutes, right? And that's great, except the capital expenditure to buy that piece of equipment is huge, and so one of the concerns I always hear is, well, yeah, back in the old days of measuring, oh, you can measure it in 10 minutes. Well, yeah, but you spent, 150 grand on the equipment to be able to do that in 10 minutes, which is not compatible to the average body shop, and then Addison, have you ever been in a shop that actually has a level floor? Like I know that when you put water on the floor, it runs towards the door. It's how it's designed.
No. And so I think let's make it clear. Our model is not to sell equipment. Our model
I know
is
that. I know that.
Okay, we're setting up. So we go in and we make sure as I said, one of the tenant improvements is they have to diamond grind the floor and deliver it to us in that level. Yep. And then we come in and measure and confirm that levelness. Because you're exactly right. You can't find a floor that's flat, in America.
Because the water goes towards the door. That's how they build it.
I remember the SEMA, it was probably 2016 or 17. I can't remember what it was. But we went and looked at that Burt Porter machine the first time. That's what's in the OE factory. So the car comes off the factory line, it goes on a Burt Porter machine, they calibrate everything, it rolls off the factory line. And so they're designed to do a level of whatever. We discussed it, hey, $3 million for a machine, yeah, I'm not gonna go buy that for Bob's Body Shop, right? So, I mean, that's why they're building these OE centers. They've got theirs. I know there's other people that have OE dedicated calibration centers. And when you realize what it takes, I don't know how any body shop would bring that in-house. And I think that's the fear, is we're convincing consumers and we're convincing adjusters that this is just plugging in a tool and pushing a button. And you can do it for $45, and that's scary. Very scary. Very scary.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any other. I had a mobile guy that's going to speak, because I wanted to have kind of the 2 different perspectives, but he had an emergency and couldn't join us. I know there's some ADAS people in here, but it's so mathematical and so technical. It's beyond the tool. There's so many physical things involved to calibration, whether it's dynamic or static, whatever, that I don't see how any company could say what that's going to cost. So.
Yeah, and then trying to put that into all the shops. And there's certain shops that, they might have 3, 4 shops. They might have their calibration center and their setup and all that. But to have every shop have this in-house, that's not going to happen.
No, and what'll end up happening, in my opinion, I think what already is happening is we find in post-repair inspections,
Yep.
you think something's done, but it's not done. We just had there's probably a suit that's gonna come out of California, and Kias, like most Kias, you can't have the bumper cover on when you calibrate. But I think every body shop assembles the car, details it, and the ADAS calibration is kind of the last thing done, and I'm thinking, I haven't been anywhere where I've actually seen a Kia getting calibrated without the bumper cover on.
Right.
Well, actually, the Kias and the Hyundais, you got to do it while it's on the frame machine. If you're replacing the quarter, you got to check it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a whole other thing is there's all these in-process requirements now around tools and equipment that we didn't have before. But I mean, so Kia is a great example. And I'm thinking, I have watched people pull up to shops, whether they're mobile companies, get out and work on a Kia and go, I'm done. And I'm like, now I'm like, the hell you were. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many things out there that so many shops, I think, don't know what they don't know. It's just still Mark Olson's famous saying there. That
Chris, I'm out the shop. We saw doing it in the parking lot across
of the gas station. They're doing it in a parking lot of a gas station across the street. I think when a shop, I don't want to say shops that it's hard to be a shop owner. It really is. There's no way I could do it. So kudos to those of you that do. But you're trying to get a car delivered because until the car delivers, you don't technically get paid. Like that's where the money comes in or whatever. And are you going to stop and do everything the right way, or are you going to push a button and go, it's good? Because a lot of this stuff it's not like it's yes, no. It's not like green means go, red means you fucked up, figure out what you got to do till you get a green. You can have something that appears to be calibrated to be completely wrong if you don't know what you're doing. And I don't know what I'm doing. So, I mean, I consider myself above the average bear, but if I got to calibrate the car, somebody's going to die in the next accident.
Adding to that, Kristen, just the people, they don't, even going through the procedures themselves, right? Like we spend a lot of time in OEM procedures, and every day I'm running across something that again, I'm like, what are they trying to say here? And again, I'm afforded the opportunity, I can reach out and ask somebody at the OE level, but again, a technician down the road is not going to have that same accessibility that I've got. And so they just kind of wing it, and again, there's no buzz, there's no warning, there's no red light on, there's no malfunction indicator lamp. It's just, they think that they've done it properly, but they don't know until it's too late. And it's just, when we're talking about some of these, cameras and sensors, and it doesn't know any better, right? It plugs in and goes like, hey, I can see, Chris and I did this video a few years ago with cameras and talking about scopes and stuff. And again, the camera itself, if it sees something, if I take my camera right here and I can move it over, like the camera still sees, right? The camera doesn't know that it's not aligned, but obviously we know that's not aligned because it's no longer pointing in the proper direction, but the camera itself doesn't know. So it can't say like, hey, I have a problem over here. I can't see, because it can see, it's just not pointing in the right direction. And there's just so many variables that are part of this. And some of them are easy. Some of them are much more complex, and we've got measurements and math and angles and, to stamp a, $45 on it and we're going to be done with it and just push a couple buttons. It just isn't the reality of how we're going to repair the vehicle.
I think all of us inclined, I get it. That somebody wrote a get out of jail free card because they said, well, we're going to have these fees, but obviously the shop can submit other information. That's not how claims work. Once you give adjusters a menu, they will not deviate from that menu, because only bad things happen when you do. No boss comes to your desk and goes, I'm so glad you deviated and paid $1,000 more on that claim. You usually get in trouble when you deviate. And so if there's no reason in an adjuster's mind in today's world, because they're not trained the same way. There's no reason to deviate. The only bad things can happen. I can only get in trouble. I can only get written up. I can only get whatever. So I'm going to stay within the four corners of this page. And so we can get to court and we can go, well, we wrote this language. And we talk about this in claim training, which is why I'm super glad to bring claim training back. There's ethical and there's moral, and those are two different things. Something can be technically business ethical, but it's just not moral if you know it's not going to have a good thing. And I need the insurance industry to go back to being moral, right? Like there was a time when we would sit, and I still remember you know, George Avery, if he ever hears this, he was an incredible leader because you could have a conversation and you could be like, well, it's perfectly ethical. We should be able to do this. And there was always a voice in the room go, yeah, but Kristen, is that really fair? Is it fair to everybody? And if the answer was no, we didn't do it. I miss those days for whatever purpose, but I need insurers to go back. Hey, do I want body shops doing this? No, I don't, because I want my consumers safe and I want, you know, I want all this stuff happen. I should be thinking differently and I need insurers. I always say I sound like a Baptist preacher. I'd like a revival in the claims industry right now. Just because I should know better. And to have an insurer get on a phone and say that this should be in-house, and if you're not a body shop that can do this, because I've heard adjusters repeat these words to our shops lately that are wanting to send stuff to a dealer or whatever. Every body shop should be equipped to be able to handle this in-house. I'm like, it's not a freaking paint booth, right? This isn't, you know, should I have a paint booth? Should I have a frame machine? Absolutely. That's a legitimate request. Should I be able to calibrate a car that's full of sensors? Nope, not at all.
No.
So one thing that's going on here is all these shops that think they can do it within their walls. What are they doing for scan tools? The scan tool, OEM scan tool, every service procedure you look at, what's the first line in that procedure? Use such and such scan tool. And that's the part that Centric brings up is we use the OEM scan tools along with the OEM technology.
Yeah.
Well,
I've had a lot of insurers, just to piggyback on that for you, Dave, I've had a lot of insurers in my meetings. I mean, honestly, I talk about, we're all still friends. Hell, my brother's wife is still a claims manager. So we still talk about it all the time. And it's a legit feeling. I got a body shop trying to hand me a position statement on why you can't use an aftermarket part. And then your dumbass is sitting there holding an aftermarket scan tool. It's like, yeah, you know what? Like you're not, you know, cleaning your house up or whatever. So we brought this on ourselves. We're our own worst enemy. I don't blame the insurer for being frustrated at us right now, but I need it to be moral, not ethical. I need that to flip.
There seems to be a big disconnect with shops, insurance companies, the consumer of what a scan is and what an aiming, reset, so that horrible word of calibration is. And that's the unfortunate thing that, you know, scanning's telling you what codes might be present in the vehicle, or what codes might have been cleared. And that's a quick, you know, usually fast, quick process in most cases if the battery is charged properly or supported properly. But to aim things and to realign things or reintroduce things, such as the Europeans call it, when you reintroduce the components back together again, it becomes a whole different process and issue that might be above some people's pay grades or understanding. I mean, most guys can't read a wheel alignment chart because no one paid attention in geometry class. Most shops don't know how to measure cars properly. I can't tell you how many shops claim a frame has a diamond to it, and it goes to the engineering office, and they're still centering the car. Yeah. That's all they got is measurements for the centering. So it's like you don't even know how to use your measuring system. You want to go ahead and get into electronics. I mean, I think a lot of these restraint system stuff that they make you take everything apart and look at it with some manufacturers, which I think is asinine because it's one of the smartest systems in the vehicle. I deal with accident reconstruction and doing black box technology. And basically how we test systems is we do resistance checks, we do voltage drop checks, we do continuity checks. But they don't trust us to do that. So they want us to look at airbag components, which most of the time, you guys know, you break, you know, interior components, taking certain things out for no reason, just to look at it. And it doesn't make sense. And then any accident. Well, I mean, it was a low speed accident while I was parked and occupied. I got to pull the whole interior out of this car. The interior and all these inspections is more money than the friggin' damage to the car.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a big disconnect there.
So David, I don't know if you can come back because I guess is ADAS what your primary function, and is it mobile or dedicated or whatever? Because I mean, like
yeah. So I actually work for Centric.
Oh, cool.
I'm the lead technician for Centric. So I helped with design of the software and stuff, and then I did proof of concepts for Burt Porter and getting their machine up and running and stuff like that. So been doing that for 3 years. I have 30 years as a technician.
So
Um,
just a question for you, because like, I mean, I know my background's a painter, which really means I don't know shit. I'm just gonna be honest, right? So, trained monkey in the paint booth, right? Even with all, I mean, like Burt Porter makes some great stuff. Like it's always been impressive. It was always just like, I can't put $3 million into a body shop or whatever. Is there still times when y'all are working on cars where it still comes down to technician knowledge and experience? Like the hardware is one thing, but you're still troubleshooting and working your way through a problem?
oh yeah, 100%. 100%. That's the things that experience gets you. It's just those things you can't train. You do it by making mistakes, knowing what those mistakes are and learning from them. That's the best teacher.
And that's what I can't bring. I can't bring it into a body shop, and I can't get, you know, if there's 8,000 body shops in North America, I can't get 8,000 Davids, right? Like that, I'm gonna have like one of him, and if I have a central service, whatever, then I can. That guy can service 9, 10, 50, 60 locations. But to think that I can take that level of because this is hard stuff. I was gonna show some stuff today, and I didn't get it together. I just got my car back. And it took them 6 weeks to figure out at the dealership, and they had to get Jeep involved at the national because it was a computer problem, and they finally figured it out. But I'm thinking 6 weeks of working on that car almost every day and working with the OE and whatever, and they finally had to figure it out. I can't bring that into body shop.
Well, yeah, and that's what Centric has done is we have a support team of Davids, people like me, that help our techs with that experience. They go through a training first, learn how our processes work, and then as they move through things and getting those trouble cars, and we get cars from dealerships that the dealerships can't figure out. For ADAS, they send them to us to do.
They were probably calling your Michigan location to figure out what the hell was wrong with person's Jeep, but it took forever. And that's just the thing about, like, I can't put a price on that experience, and I can't really, know when I'm gonna need that experience and when I'm not gonna need that experience. And I just think this whole, don't get me wrong, I don't wanna say Geico's not the problem. Every insurer is thinking this and in this way. Aztec's not just the company. I know a lot of companies that went and made presentations to insurers because they wanted to be crowned. They thought they were going to get a DRP mandate, and that was going to make them a ton of money. So there's a lot of people out there that are blamed for this current situation where we think that we just get a remote tool, we plug it in, and anybody can calibrate a car, and we're going to hurt somebody. Is really what's going to happen. So, this Kia case is an injury. So
and that's exactly why Addison is doing what he's doing, and Centric sees that, recognizes it, and Addison is just he sees the need. He sees that there's, like you said earlier, the collision shops are not there. They won't be capable of doing it on the process of their floors aren't that way. You got Bondo dust, you got all these other things, all these other elements that just make it very difficult and non-conducive to doing a safe, correct calibration. And then to your point,
I hadn't thought of that, about all the contaminants that are floating in the shop that are interfering with it seeing what it's got to see clearly. That's good.
Right. And how many times do you have to clean the windshield to make sure the Bondo dust isn't on there, or a 360 camera?
Yeah. So, okay, now you just scared me even more. Thanks.
Yeah, and one of the bigger problems we have is that, you go to dealers, and dealers, they just took that extra stall and they're doing it. So a lot of dealers aren't even doing it even close to correctly either. If they even know what they're doing.
I think they're worse than probably some. Yeah. I think honestly, our body shops try a little harder.
Madison wants to say something about that.
We've had calls with about a half a dozen OEs. And I won't name him, but one of them says he has zero confidence in his dealer network. He's like, they're probably grabbing a guy out of the detail bay and having him calibrate it right there in the service department. He's like, we have zero confidence that they're doing it properly. They don't have the time, they don't have the training, they don't have the space. It's just not a priority for them. So, and that was pretty universal among the 6 that we spoke to.
Yeah. Hey, Kristen, I wanted to just bring up one thing real quick. So you said earlier, I want to just throw it out to everybody. So you said that, there's the ethical dilemma, the moral dilemma. What I'm hearing more and more is the legal dilemma. Like, well, it's not illegal. So we can do this because it's not illegal. And they're kind of standing on that, like that kind of trumps ethical and moral.
But see, here's the thing. I think what like I don't want to pick on Crash, and I don't want to get a hate mail from that, because I get that they're trying to figure out how to deal with the situation they have. But I think we know there's some legalities to it, or you could be asking estimators to sign a thing that says they're legally going to be legally responsible. So the legal question has been, we know, we're just thinking that it's worth the gamble. And it's, I mean, companies do that. We always talk about lawsuits over whether it's big tobacco or whatever. Hey, how much more money will it cost us to change the plant versus deal with the 1 or 2 lawsuits? But it's just massive issues, and I need third party providers. Like, I need anybody that can do this as a specialty, because as a body shop, I mean, we got to be honest. We brought those frame machines in, but 90% of the shops don't use them. They sit over there in the corner and they hold parts and collect dust. Maybe 1 car a month makes it to the frame rack, when every car should be getting over there and getting measured. So we brought that in house, and we didn't do a good job with it. And our post repair inspections, what we're looking at on frame repair, we're doing a terrible job with it. So if we can't even do that right, welding, shit, we're not even doing that right in body shop. If we can't do those 2 things right, we damn sure don't need to be messing with something as technical and high and life centric as ADAS. It's just not our circus, not our monkey. We just need to.
And on a PRI, it's not visible.
Yeah.
You can't see it.
No, there's a lot of testing you'd have to do to.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but most of the PRI calls that I'm getting right now are because the car's telling on itself because of an ADAS problem. Like, I've got one coming in, and literally the insurer and the shop told me the car is in Chicago, so I got that thing going for me. But literally in the phone call, the insurer and the body shop said, well, the reason it took so long was because 3 times we sent it over to get calibrated and they rejected it. And I'm thinking, what? Like, thanks for telling me that, but so the car tells on itself because the blind spot's not working, or the headlights won't do whatever, and then the customer gets it checked out, and then everything else is found. But yeah, it's adding to our business, I guess, is a good way.
Jason had rented a car down in Florida for a class we were teaching from a car rental company, famous car rental company. And the blind spot monitor wasn't working. The rear collision, avoidance wasn't working. And then when we took the bumper cover off, we found some urethane that was gluing the module back on, and it was on backwards.
Well, if you're a Tesla certified shop, apparently you can put the damn sensor on with a zip tie and they'll approve it from corporate. So there's that. Yeah, Tesla. I'm still mad.
And then yell at the shop that fucking found it.
Yeah, I'm still mad at Tesla. I'm coming for you. It's gonna happen. But like, me and Elon are gonna hang out and we're gonna have a discussion or whatever. All right, so that's just I want us to make sure that as an industry we keep having conversations, not just about how mad we are at Aztec for selling us out or whatever, but that we have conversations around how much training and knowledge and equipment and the physicalities of calibration and how much is involved in that, and why that's just something we can't just pop into every body shop in North America. But Yanni has been, Yanni's got an update on Eagle, and I promised him he could have a little bit of time to talk about what he's working on with Eagle MMS. And he probably quit and ran away because it was too long.
No, he's still there.
I'm here.
Okay.
So I was hoping to have it ready in advance of today, but it's going to be a few more days until we have a testable beta. We developed a generic model of Eagle that we're calling Gen Eagle. So basically what it does, as opposed to our regular software, is instead of being based on an inventory with part numbers and list prices, it's a conglomerated averages model. So instead it'll take the materials category, it'll take the min, max, and the weighted average of that materials category, and that's what it'll use as its pricing basis. And then the mappings are all, hard based in. So you basically get a diagram of a vehicle, you click what you're refinishing, what you're replacing, repair time, stuff like that. and you get a one-time report based on all of the users' data that we have. We currently have about 600 shops that we're pulling users' data from. So all that averages data will be based into Gen Eagle, and it's something that independent appraisal companies can use. If people want to use it on RTAs, or if a shop is just testing their toes in the water before going for the real thing, there's a lot of I was actually. You just commented Yanni was too busy making memes. I think guilty, whatever.
Johnny, if you want, I got some inspiration. I said, believe me, after you have a talk with my law firm, Ball Peen and Hammer, LLC, you'll have new inspiration. Very motivational.
I was late because I was hitting the UR50. This is
well, Yanni,
some strong stuff.
You gotta chuck the signs sometimes.
We're seeing a lot of insurers start to use their own calculating systems that are more generic, and they're riddled with errors. So it'd be nice to have something that even the insurers could use as a medium. So
that's what I'm hoping, because some of the stuff I'm seeing, first off, it doesn't make sense to me that you're talking about materials on a claim and they can say, oh, well, we generated our own invoice. It's like going to a steakhouse, getting the bill for the steak, and then saying, oh, I've got a receipt from McDonald's. That's what dinner costs.
I'm okay with them doing that. Just like Opus is selling State Farm their rules engine for ADAS here, and I'm okay with that as long as it's it's based on OE. I'm okay with you trying to get on the same page, but so I appreciate the insurers that are trying. We just got to deal with the pricing issues that they've got there. So
got to be comparable. Yeah,
I'll be in Missouri very soon to have some discussions with the one insurer that likes to do some things. Awesome. Hey, Mr. McDormand chimed in and he wanted to speak, and so I'm going to let him have the mic.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for letting me join y'all. It's really an honor to be among this group. I couldn't commend Mark more for what he said about the bringing more professionalism to the right to appraisal. I think it's my professional opinion. It doesn't matter what we've talked about tonight. If we can't get paid for it, it doesn't work. So we, in my professional opinion, what I've developed my business model around is numbers. So my numbers have withstood the highest scrutiny from government agencies, from DOIs, law firms, and that's what I heard you say, Mark, and also Kristen and Larry, everybody on this call. Everybody here wants to do better. And if we want to do better, we raise the bar. And there's it's my professional opinion. Education is going to take us to the next level. Not only education, we want to do better. We want to, in the collision industry, it's my opinion, our enemies within. We shouldn't compete with one another. We should join one another. We should help. We should embrace change. We should what I always tell everyone. Like, there's no question. We do a large volume of umpire assignments every month. We do a large volume of claims every day. So I get to see a good mix of everybody's work, and what I see out there is a mess. The independent appraisers that I'm looking at, the new cowboys coming in the arena, that mainly are whoring themselves out of the insurance companies, are awful.
Yeah.
And it's so the only way we can it's my professional opinion. We've got to be better. We've got to be on top of our game. And I think what I heard tonight is just wonderful. That's so much why I wanted to join. I never comment on Facebook. I just don't want to be made an idiot or something like that. But I saw the post, Kristen, and I wanted to listen, and it's just, we need to, if we're gonna make a change, we have to change.
Right, and most of our shop side, I always tell, I mean, so there's the cowboys that come in the industry and they jump on and go, I'm gonna get all this insurance business, and it's like $35, so it's like, you're gonna have to do 9,000 of those to make money. But then we also have a bunch of people that have jumped in that were ex-body shop, hey, I sold my body shop and now I wanna be an IA, and it's like, that's not how that works, boo-boo. Like, I'm really glad that you understand collision repair, but there's a whole world out here that's more than just the estimate on the car, and that comes with claims experience and years, and I get people that call me all the time that are arguing over something about the collision or something about the estimate. It's like, that's not what this is about. We're over here where we're talking policy or we're talking whatever. And so I think we have to get those cowboys trained to understand policy and the insurance side better, and then we have to get these guys over here to understand collision and the other side better. So I think I'm gonna do the insurance stuff. Mark's gonna do all the hard work. So once again, I have figured out a way to keep Larry and Mark in the shop while I sit in the office in the air conditioning, so. Awesome.
Well, I think the professionalism, Kristen, and the knowledge and the transparency helps us all. And if we and again, like what you said, some of the people that sold their shop think, well, this is easier. This is walk in the park. What do you do if one of these things goes bad? How do you handle it?
They call you, don't they? I mean, how many calls a week do you get, Robert, where people asking you to, hey, can you help me out? I mean, or they call Mark or they call me, and it's like, wait, you're getting paid and you want me to help you fix your mistake.
Chris, it
don't even have anything to do with it. And I hear Robert's name a dozen times a week.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, Kristen. It's not just, and now many DOIs call me. And I said, well, I've got this complaint, how this happened. And I've got several DOIs that asked me to ghost them on appraisal assignments. And just so they can learn, how did this happen? But but again, like what I heard, if we make ourselves better and we learn more and learn from our mistakes, then that'll make this industry a lot better. And when, at the last legislative session in Texas, when, legislators came to me 6 years ago and asked me to write a perfect appraisal bill. And they said, when you write that appraisal bill, Robert, will you stay on board to train us, why that's the perfect appraisal bill? Well, the appraisal bill was tagged the loser pay bill. And what it was over the dollar loser pay. Well, that was a drawing card. I always knew that would become the most adverse attention of that bill. Well, and at the end of the session, we switched that to a percentage. Well, what my vote was, Kristen, the higher the percentage, the better it makes the appraisal. So in other words, if it's a 20% swing loser pay, then that insured better hope they hire the right appraiser, because if he makes a mistake, they're gonna owe some money.
Yep.
And that echoes what Mark said.
Yep.
If we bring some culture to this, bring some education, and it only makes it a better business, it makes it better for our consumers, the insured, and it brings that percentage back, that 23% you talked about. They said, well, this is that it levels the playing field.
Right. There's the customers allowed to do things. I mean, I don't have the best relationships with the Texas Association. That's public and well known, and it's played itself out. But Texas honestly is doing probably of all of our states, Texas is doing a really good job of addressing, right to appraisal and consumer rights in the legislation. Y'all are you're doing good stuff there. So.
Chris, when I made that comment, auto claim specialist has their own lobbyist. I write the check every month, my own lobbyist. So it's not part of ABAT.
Yeah.
Well, kudos. This was me talking. I think that you know, the better, like, the better job we do, like just talking. We've got to become better stewards for our clients.
Yeah.
And I think the education does that, and I commend you.
Well,
for it.
turnover. Yeah, turnover in the insurance industry. It used to be, and I know you've been in the business a long time, like Mark, and everybody. You used to talk to a different level of person on the other side of the insurance fence. They, most of the time it was a career. So a lot of times you were talking to people that had 10, 15, 20 years experience. And there was a lot of training. Well, now with turnover, they're in the 80% of turnover in adjusters right now. So I get you trained, you quit. I get you trained, you quit. So we're dealing with a low level of just, they don't even know their jobs, much less trying to know the other job that they're supposed to be dealing with. And that's causing a lot of problems. And I mean, we just got to do something. The insurance industry has no plans whatsoever to do education. And I don't blame them. If I was still sitting in that chair and looking at an 80% turnover, I wouldn't invest in my claims department either, because that's just burning cash. So we're gonna have to do something, and so I'm excited. But Robert, thank you for chiming in. Thanks for being here. Feel free to come back anytime. Talk about anything.
Yeah, well, this was nice, and this was very nice. I commend y'all. The education is wonderful. Camaraderie is wonderful, and I enjoyed this. Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, Mark Olson, I'm going to let you close this out because Mark's
Okay.
had a really interesting victory on an RTA, and I wanted him to kind of share and walk it through it because it made me giggle when he told me about it. So
Yeah. So first of all, Robert, I got to say, if you're going to come back, when we say European, you have to drink. That's just the rules, right?
I've been drinking the whole time.
dude, I
Okay,
poured
got it,
twice.
okay.
Did you see me pour them all?
No, I got it. I'm just saying, you just got to follow the
I
rules.
gotta go
So-
do math homework after this, and I suck at math. So.
Okay,
Chris,
so-
you saw my wife pouring in the background.
Yeah, she filled it up. Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Needless to say, Evan's going through
So
summer
I'm going to
school.
tell you about an RTA that has been a long time coming. It's taken well over a year. The car's not repaired yet. But let me just kind of give you the world of it. So major insurance company, top 10 insurance company, customer, let's just say that they wrote the estimate. I'm trying not to, get a cease and desist or a lawsuit going here, but long story short, let's just say the insurance company wrote the estimate in the low six figures. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, low five figures. Okay. Not six figures. So long story short, I think it was like 11 grand or 12 grand or something like that. Shop wrote one for mid six figures. Well, it's a huge multiple. I get involved in the RTA. It took months and months and months and estimates and back and forth with this other appraiser and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Finally, I got the other appraiser to, somewhere around 60% of the estimate for the shop. Long story short, and then they said, well, we can negotiate it up a little more. So we're about 70%. So again, this has gone on to a certain point, and I'm talking to my client all along, and this is a high-end European vehicle. So yeah, you got to drink again, Larry. So long story short, this is how it's shaking out, and it's not done yet, but it's ugly for the insurance company. Long story short, they are paying the body shop's bill in full, including potential parts price increases that they're figuring out. Number one. Number two, it's an uninsured motorist, so they're also paying diminished value. Plus this guy's been insured and he's been sitting there with his car for the last year, not being able to drive it, making car payments and insurance payments. So he's pretty freaking hot, as you can imagine. Matthew, are you feeling me there? Long story short, and the money's not in the bank yet, but rumor has it that they're paying all that and $100 a day until the car is completed. Now just do the math on 365 plus probably another 90 days on top of that at how much money it cost them to screw around with this claim. It's kind of a little bit south of $500,000.
Yeah.
And they could have had it settled for 50 or 60.
Yeah,
And it
well,
would've
here's
been
what I
fine.
like about this one, and so the back end from the insurance perspective, is it finally got to a claim manager that realized that the way they were handling it had actually exposed them, because it was a double insured, correct?
Yep, uninsured.
The double insured with one at fault, so the way.
Underinsured.
Yeah, understood. So the way they had handled it was an exposure. And that as soon as you've exposed the policy to above and beyond like additional loss or whatever, this manager was really smart and went, this would be a large 7-figure suit. So paying $100 a day back pay for a year and moving forward is the cheapest legal bill they're ever gonna have. And so I thought that was, that I see this all the time where it's the claims manager gets personal, the adjuster gets personal, and they have no idea the exposure that they just put on the insurer. And sometimes the legal department gets in and goes, shit, so, and starts writing checks, and that's what happened. So here's a big 6-figure settlement off what should have been, what, Mark, a $50,000 repair
50
probably?
to 60, right in there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll keep.
Plus DV of about 15. So yeah, probably 65,000 total out the door.
Yeah, so sometimes RTA gets a little bit more than just the estimate or whatever, and so.
Yeah, well, and then what's even more funny about the whole thing is once that happened, the insured calls me and says, okay, I got to cancel the RTA. I'll pay your bill, but I got to cancel it because you're not going to get an agreement now with the appraiser because I already got an agreement with the insurance company.
Yeah, and that's when you tell him, let's hold up until you get that check in the mail, boo-boo, and then we'll cancel what we gotta do. But that's.
Well, I know. I talked to him today, he's still working through it and all that, but it's like, wow. I was just going, and I was telling the other appraiser, I said, you know what? The way you're talking and the way you're not agreeing to things, you are exposing yourself. He goes, I don't care. I mean, I'm just doing what I do and what they tell me and, all that stuff, right?
But they don't know. I mean, it's easy to say, I got a video that'll come out here in a couple of days. I've already put it in our C20 VIP group. I get tickled when people will say, well, I read a Chris Voss book and now I'm an expert in negotiation. I'm like, honey, that's not even close, right? Like it's easy for me to negotiate you not to jump off the bridge because I hope you don't want to die, really. But when I'm negotiating with an adjuster, there's no emotion, there's no feeling, they have nothing in this. And so a lot of those tactics don't work. But we just had one where you're explaining and they don't know what they don't know, so they don't even know they're screwing up because nobody gave them that training. And even the level over them, so line level insurance claims managers right now have less than 5 years experience before they got promoted, so they don't know what they don't know. So it's until you get it kicked up to like a regional level or somebody that's been around for a while, they go, oh. I had one recently that got so bad. I hate to message friends because that's abuse of friendship, right? You shouldn't get an email from me that goes, hey, I got a claim you should look at. Like, that's not how you treat your friends. But it finally got up there and the guy was like, wait, Kristen's on this? Let me pick up the phone and call. And I said, look, dude, I didn't call you to ask for anything. And he's like, next time I need you to call me. Like, this never said, I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to tattletale on your managers every time they screw up. But as soon as it got to corporate, they were like, oh my God, we're paying, because they just, that because there's no training. Claim school's been closed since 2010. I think it was 2010 when State Farm closed up claim school, put it in an 18-wheeler and shipped it to me here in Arkansas. So I think if I had to go back and look at the dates, there hasn't been claims training since about 2010, like real policy, real law, real whatever. And now we're seeing the effects of that, which are, there's just, they don't know what they don't know and make stupid decisions. And that's just crazy, right? So we can't fix stupid, but we can't give it the court date.
Yeah. Well, and another one that's going on, and maybe you guys have heard this if you're at the shop level, where they'll call in, and this is primarily, I've had this, I don't know, 4 or 5 times with a couple of insurance companies. And in the policy, it says, and you got to understand policy. That's why when we do the licensing agreements for the people that are going to jump in with us, we're going to teach them how to read a policy. Really simple. In the policy, it says that they have to make their appraisal exercise their right to appraisal within 60 days of the notice of loss. Right? Now, here's the thing. There's the no, I'm sorry, not the notice of loss, the proof of loss is what it says.
The insurer has to send that.
So there's 3 of losses. One of them is the date of loss, date of the accident. The second one is the notice of loss, which is when you call them and go, I hit the frickin' tree, right? And the proof of loss is when you sign a legally binding form, notarized and all that, saying, here's all the money I'm claiming, and you give it to them. So many insurance companies are going, well, wait a minute. It's been 90 days since you had your accident and you called us and told us. So you're outside of your proof of loss, and therefore we are not going to cover your appraisal clause. Now, most insureds will go, oh, okay. Now, when they call me, then we have a little conversation with the insurance adjuster.
Yeah.
And I just say something along the lines of,
When did you say the proof of loss?
please put that in writing, because you don't understand what proof of loss is. And can I caution you to have legal look at it specifically before you mail out the letter? Normally, what happens is they go, oh, well, and I get an email from some claim manager that goes, hey, we've assigned and we've hired so-and-so to handle this. But they were telling the customer, you don't have the right to appraisal.
Yeah. Well, if I never taught you, if you never went through claim school and you never learned what proof of loss is, you never learned that the insurer actually has to send the proof of loss, right? Comes out certified, registered mail, whatever. If you never had that training, you don't know what you don't know. And that's when I talk to these adjusters and they're so angry. I would be too if I was asked to do a job with no training. I bet that's frustrating as hell, right? Like I would hate to be in claims. But when I talk to them, you really realize, dude, they're winging it. I mean, like they're just really winging it, and they have no support system, and it's affecting corporate. I think we're going to see some big class actions. I think that's just inevitable at this point right now.
You know, I love it when Liberty. I know, Larry, you did with Liberty on one the other day because you posted about it. But they're like, "Well, send us your estimate. We'll review it before we hire somebody." And my email, my standard form letter back to them is really simple. Show me in the policy where it says that I need to have anything to do with you or hire your appraiser. And normally they send me the policy and then they go, well, that's our internal policy. I'm like, well, my didn't sign up for your internal policy. They signed up for your policy. So let's follow that.
Right. Well, I think that's another thing. Most adjusters don't understand that internal guidelines are not policies. They think so they say they use policy interchangeable. I actually had a conversation with an Allstater the other day. They don't have access to the policy. They're telling the customer, we can't get you the policy. And I'm like, the fuck you can't, right? But honestly, they consider it a processing job. Those guys don't have access to the policy because there's a whole different department of people that make policy decisions. And those people have the policy and they have policy training. So this girl wasn't lying. She really couldn't get it. And I was like, oh, makes total sense now. Thank you. So sorry. So, like whatever, but. All right, so it's 9 o'clock. I'm gonna make a hard stop. We can talk for 4 or 5 hours. That's why normally when we do have live events, we're shutting the bar down at 1, 2 in the morning. We're not drinking, although we are drinking, but we're all just sitting in the room, just yabbing back and forth. And so we're gonna keep doing this. Like I said, I think it's legitimate criticism to say, you don't like what we're doing, but can you do something better? And so, okay, well, I'm going to try to do something better. So we're going to have these discussions. Anyone can participate. If you want to present, you just need to fill out that form. We kind of want to know what you're going to talk about. I may call you back and have some questions. You got to have a web camera. We just want to be able to see you. You can get on and speak and call me every name in the book, and you can tell me where you think I should go, and that's fine. You have the right to do that. I just got the right to look you in the eye, right? Like we're not going to turn your mic off or kick you out. You can say what you feel.
When we go to Arkansas, don't be afraid of Kristen. When we go to Arkansas, we do it right to her face.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, I will get on a plane and come see some people. I've been known to do that. So, but anyone can participate. Think of it as a town hall. Think of it as an open mic session. If you've got something to say and you've had a claim or you've had a situation or something's happened and you think it adds value, then we're going to give everybody a space to do that. And this is going to YouTube because I want adjusters to watch it. I want insurance people to watch it. I want more shops to watch it. I don't want it to be, hey, if you miss the live call, you don't get it, right? That's not fair. Or I know that I still have some shops here locally that have been threatened that if they come to a state or if they come to one of my classes at Collision Hub, that they will be kicked off the DRP program. So that stuff really happens. So we got some shops that are like, I'm not logging in the webinar because I don't want my name to show up. Great, watch it on YouTube and anonymity. I'm good with that, right? So you can always submit your topics. We did have 2 topics submitted and we didn't get to them. They were 2 great questions. I will save those over for the next session that we do. And feel free to email us. Melanie is the keeper of the gate at Collision Hub. She's the most intelligent and organized person that we have on staff. It is not me. So if you have something, you can email it to Mel. It's just melanie@collisionhub.com. And if you need to tell us something, that's great. And we look forward to seeing you guys. I'll take suggestions as well. Anybody got any suggestions, send those to us. We'll keep evolving this. Jason Bartman is going to take the helm of it because everybody loves Jason and hates me and Larry and whatever. But Jason's going to be kind of our director, our circus, 3-ring circus provider, the president, whatever. And he's going to kind of be the person that set the agenda and make sure that we don't run amok.
Good luck with that.
I'm giving Jason that responsibility so that it's not even me with I got things I'm passionate about, but I don't want to override the agenda either. So I'm gonna take 2 steps back. So
And let's get some techs in here too. Let's talk some technical stuff too. All this front office
Yes.
kind of puts me to sleep. I want to talk about fixing cars.
I do too. I'd like to
We're so boring, Jason.
Yes.
let's put a camera in the shop and do some repairs live. That would
Jason, I heard a lot.
But if we do the repairs live, we can't drink and do repairs live. Awesome. Everybody have a fantastic evening. And if you need me, you know where to find me. There was a question about total losses and being on a DRP and how to maximize profits. I did respond. I'm happy to get on the phone and talk to you. There are some restrictions, but there are some ways to be on DRP and make money. We just have to look through your contracts and see what our opportunities are. And I'm happy to do that for you if you need to. So thanks, guys. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.